What's up, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. It's time for a recap of what went down on last night's episode of Teen Mom OG. If you, like me, don't live in Canada but you want to watch the full episode for free, make sure to get yourself a VPN. I've got a link to the one that I use in the description box down below if you want to check out the episode and support this channel. At the top of the episode, Zach and Cheyenne talk about her hulking out on him in the last episode, and he tells her that he was hurt by her actions and that pregnancy is not an excuse for all the yelling and, you know, name calling that she did. And she insists that it is an excuse and only apologizes for some of the things that she said. She didn't apologize for yelling, and she didn't apologize for leaving him deserted on the side of the road. He said that this was her only pass that she was going to get for such behavior, and anything else is too much, which I say good for him for advocating for himself like that. But Cheyenne seemed to have basically just ignored it. And, you know, I have to say, I don't believe him that this will never happen again, and that if it does happen again, that he would be willing to like walk away or, you know, put a little bit of space between himself and Cheyenne to let her know that he means business. By the way, my eyebrows, I got them microbladed yesterday, so that's why they're kind of dark and shiny right now. I forgot to tell you at the top of the episode. So moving right along, Cory is about to leave to film the challenge, and Taylor is taking him away for a surprise 30th birthday trip. And so he talks about missing Ryder's birthday, and I was like, oh, you're gonna miss your daughter's birthday for this birthday trip of your own? A little bit odd. And for Taylor as the stepmom as well, knowing that Cory would have Ryder at that time, why wouldn't she try to organize something, you know, a getaway in the LA area or something to make sure that, you know, Ryder could be included? Because I imagine maybe Mila would have been involved in that birthday trip as well. In Michigan, past traumas are bubbling up for Caitlin and Tyler as they go through their latest pregnancy, and Tyler tries to find a new form of treatment to help him manage his feelings of unworthiness around parenting and his general lifestyle. He said something about it being a ketamine treatment, you guys. So next we are switching gears to Indiana, where Amber doesn't know what sports Leah is currently playing, which I found a little bit interesting because I personally know everything that my nephew's playing. I know he's doing soccer, I know he just did karate camp, you know, and I know who his best friends are. She blames it on Leah's mother, Christina, of course, but I think she's a really bad auntie at this point to not really be checking in ever. Amber says that she wants to do mother and daughter therapy for her and Christina's daughter, Leah, so that she can play victim and act like she never neglected her. Then we're down south in Tennessee, where Maci picks Bentley up from his weekly therapy session and asks about whether or not his friends know that he's in therapy. Bentley says that they don't, which I would think would be a cue for Maci that he's not really comfortable with people knowing that he's in therapy. So maybe she shouldn't use it as her storyline. And speaking about Bentley's therapy, isn't Maci in therapy from the gas station shooting that she witnessed last season? Why are we not talking about that yet? Why are we drilling in on Bentley? You see what I mean when it comes to Maci? So anyway, Bentley brings up Ryan not going to therapy with Dr. Ed like they were supposed to. They were both doing separate sessions. Then at a certain point, when the doctor felt as though Ryan was ready, they would have a joint therapy session. Well, as though both of them were ready. They would have a joint therapy session, but Ryan has stopped attending them. You know, and it's obviously because he doesn't want to take accountability for how his actions have impacted his cousin. Maci asks if he wants to be around Ryan if you know, Ryan doesn't continue to go to therapy, and Bentley says that he hasn't thought about it. And speaking of Ryan, we see him looking and sounding high as a kite in the next scene as he and his Black Widow wife Mackenzie, and his filthy hand, by the way, he never seems to wash his hands. They always look so dirty. So they talk about the spat between Taylor and Jen and Larry. Listen, as much as I dislike Ryan, I gotta say, when he asked who would want to, you know, harm a senior citizen, I laughed so hard. He was just being facetious, but it was hilarious. Ryan tells Mackenzie to text Maci asking to sit down to clear the air between them. And so Mackenzie does text Maci. And I noticed that, like, you know, in the message prior to the one that she was sending on air, there was another one that she had sent to Maci where she invited Bentley to attend Jagger's birthday party. And she even offered to pick up Bentley, and Maci never responded to that. So anyway, she sends this text asking for them to meet up for lunch to clear the air. And yeah, we'll see later on in the recap how that pans out. Now we are in LA again, where Cory goes to Cheyenne's house to announce that he's going to be on vacation for like 3 or 4 weeks. And I could see why Cheyenne was pissed off about it, because that is time away from Ryder. She understands him doing the challenge and those work obligations, but there are 3 or 4 weeks that he is just partying it up as if he's a single guy with no kids, right? And especially because Cheyenne is pregnant, and then she's got Ryder, so it's like you're gonna have her stay with Ryder for extra time during this pregnancy by herself, basically. You know, Zach obviously is there to help her, but Ryder is Cory's daughter, right? And I don't know, Zach working or something sometimes that he can't help Cheyenne out. I don't know, but I could see why she would be pissed off about with him about that, sorry. And, you know, on top of that, he would be missing his own daughter's birthday to celebrate his birthday. I think that's kind of selfish. I have to agree. So, I want to know, how did you guys feel about her asking to leave? She told him a couple times that he was a POS, then she asked him to leave. I'm like, maybe you shouldn't have called him names, but Cory was sitting there playing the victim with Cheyenne, so I could see why she did not want any parts of it. And I gotta say, I noticed how she's much nicer to Cory than she was to her own boyfriend, Zach, whose child she is currently pregnant with. There was no screaming or anything like that, but you know, she did kind of like toss him out of the house as well. So next we're in Indiana, where Gary tells Christina that he asked Leah to go to mother and daughter therapy with Amber, like start off herself to move into Amber, and Leah doesn't want to do that at all. Gary and Christina both don't feel like Amber has done enough to make amends with Leah to where Leah would want to do something like that. And listen, I'm glad that Gary is finally listening to his daughter and validating her feelings, because he spent the last few years telling Leah that her feelings were wrong and literally mean to her mom, and lying to Leah about how Amber was trying her hardest to be there for her. She never put men ahead of her or whatever all of these years. Like, I think that now that Amber put Christina on blast for the millionth time, they decided that they're no longer going to support her. But it's interesting to me that this is what it took for them to stop gaslighting this child and invalidating her feelings, when, you know, they were all really happy to go out of their way to support her when she allegedly was out there swinging machetes at her second baby daddy while he was holding her second child. Back in LA again, Cheyenne and her family talk about Cory being too into this partying phase for a father of 2. The dad jokes that, you know, he'll be coming back from New York with a 3rd child. And, you know, he does ultimately tell Cheyenne that she needs to apologize for cursing him out. And then in Tennessee, Maci didn't respond to Mackenzie's text asking for, like, you know, come to Jesus lunch or anything like that, because she didn't feel like it was genuine, especially with Ryan not even going to therapy. And then Taylor calls Mackenzie one of the biggest SHIT stirrers in the entire situation, which is true. Maci really did try to have a friendship and a relationship with Mackenzie for the sake of the children, and Mackenzie went out of her way to blow that up. So I don't blame Maci at all. Now, Taylor says that he would, on the other hand, talk to Larry if he invited him to, you know, have a lunch or, like, you know, a beer or something to talk about the blow up, but that if they invited them over for like a dinner or something, they wouldn't be willing to do something like that. Maci says that she plans on not communicating with any of them at this point, which I wonder how that would work out long term for Bentley. So next we're back up north in Michigan, where Tyler doesn't know if it's the bipolar making him feel unworthy of everything in his life. So he decides to try to figure it out by getting ketamine treatment, which isn't proven to be a long-term solution for the disease, but I digress. You know, when Caitlin even asked him what ketamine was, like, is it a psychedelic or a whatever, he didn't know. So it's like a little bit interesting to me that it seemed as though he didn't really put that much research into this thing that was supposed to help him manage his bipolar disorder. I don't know, I found that very odd personally. So anyway, Kate says that she's afraid that Tyler will have some kind of psychedelic realization that he doesn't want to be with her anymore, which I'm curious from you guys' perspective. Is that a red flag? Is that Kate saying that she doesn't want Tyler to get better because maybe he'll realize that he's outgrown the relationship? Or is it normal? Is that Kate saying that, listen, this might be a psychedelic that could alter his brain into thinking you know, or into thinking that he doesn't need his family, which is Kate and their kids. You know, I'm kind of like on the fence about the two of those things. I think that maybe it's a little bit of both personally, but I am really curious to hear what you guys think. So definitely let me know in the comment section down below. Back in LA again, Cheyenne puts on her tightest, most booty-hugging, translucent biker leggings. Did you guys notice that? Like when she turned around, you could see the tag, so you could see a little bit through them, to sit down with Cory because he is back from New York, and she apologizes for blowing up on him, their last conversation. Again, this is a much more genuine and heartfelt apology than the one that she gave to her boyfriend, Zach. And did you notice that she did not use pregnancy as an excuse for her behavior, even though it was much milder than what she did to Zach, which I would personally classify as some sort of abuse, verbal abuse perhaps. And she couldn't stop smiling and laughing with Cory. You know, Zach, you need to wake up, open your eyes, because it's clear as day to me anyway that you are the backup plan. Sorry, but it looks that way. I think that Zach deserves better, but looking at this objectively, there's something going on here. So she even changed Ryder's birthday party date to a date where Cory would be able to attend it, you know. I personally don't believe that she would have done the same for Zach with their son Ace. I think she would have been like, you know what, like, you need to miss the party so you realize how important it is. Like, you know, like really, like, I'm not budging because this is your bad. And then now back in Indiana again for the final scene of the episode, Amber FaceTimes her therapist and pretends to cry about the Leah situation with no tears coming out as usual, except when it comes to her crying about herself. Did you notice that? Listen, for the most part though, her eyes were drier than a 2020 passport. I kind of think that at some point she put on like really thick mascara to get things going, because when she shed that one tear for herself, or two tears, 1.5 tears, it was transparent, but then when you pan back to her again, her eyes from the top and bottom were really dark. I'm like, did you put liquid eyeliner on your eyes and do this? Like, something was off there. She claims that she'll keep reaching out to Leah and praying for their relationship to mend, but come on, we saw how she tossed that girl to the side, to the back burner, out of the road, faster than Cheyenne tossed Zach out of the road, every time she had a new man, and every time she was going through a breakup. Listen, if it wasn't the man taking her attention away from Leah, it was a breakup, right? Like, she always had an excuse. Meanwhile, when she was going through these breakups where she was too depressed to see her child, she always found time to find another man. She was lining them up back to back, stacking them like dominoes. So I have no pity for this girl. I really do not. Anyway, you guys, that does it. A recap of what went down on last night's episode of Teen Mom OG. But as usual, I'm more excited to hear what you have to say about everything. So please make sure to let me know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below, and we'll chat. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.